Texas Longhorns, 12-1 on the season out of the Big 12. Their lone loss coming at the hands of Oklahoma. I won't go into the Oklahoma song this week. All right, against the Washington Huskies, they are the champions out of the Pac-12 that will be no more. Well, maybe it actually will, it looks like, after the ruling recently. But the Washington Huskies, they're 13-0 before they join the Big Ten. Fresh, right now, Texas is a 4.5-point favorite in this game. Over-under is set at 63.5 points. I think this is the fascinating game. Like, this is get your popcorn ready type of game here. Jonathan Brooks still out. Taking a look at some of the things right now. Backup quarterback Malik Murphy for Texas. He did start a few games this year. You take a look at him. He is in the transfer portal. Feel bad for that kid. This is a horrible thing for how the college football calendar sets up. There's a bunch of people who've talked about this. Malik Murphy, though, is in the transfer portal. Means Archman is the backup for Quinn Ewers, who has gotten injured a few times this year. Jonathan Brooks is out for the year. I know that this time around, so all the Texas fans who would jump to the comments like, tell me you don't know college or Texas football by telling me you don't know Texas football. Whatever you guys say these days. So take a look at this game here, Fresh. Hey, you know the stat that we go, A.D. Mitchell has a touchdown catch.
Mark it, folks. He's catching a touchdown this ballgame.
He is 10 on the year, man. What a great pick. I mean, Georgia really could have used him. I wish he would have stuck around there. But, man, pairing him with Xavier Worthy this year, maybe just as good as Keon Coleman being paired with Johnny Wilson as a transfer pickup there. Interesting thing for them. Texas has done a really great job of getting out to a lead on a lot of teams. Washington's one of the first teams that I think, like, Washington's got great wide receivers as well. Guys, don't sleep on Rome Odunze. Like, that dude is legit. Like, he is a legit, ridiculously good wide receiver. He is going to be a first-round draft pick probably upcoming year. Polk and McMillan both had big games this year at certain times there. This is a great passing attack, and Fresh kind of called it earlier on this year. He said, watch out for a guy by the name of Dylan Johnson, and we were all kind of thinking that was going to be the Achilles heel of Washington this year, was going to be their ground game. And then Dylan Johnson comes on the year, 14 touchdowns on the year, 5.5 yards per carry. This is a great matchup. I feel Texas has a little bit of an advantage at the line of scrimmage here, Fresh. I think they're a little tougher on that defensive front. They got some dudes on that defensive line. But we all kind of felt that way about, we thought Oregon was going to be, Dan Lanning had recruited some dudes to get after Penix Jr., and in that title game, he handled them. I've loved Penix all year long, man. What say you?
Well, this is also a rematch of last year's Alamo Bowl where Washington, I think, made their assertion and really said, hey, you know what, we're coming next year. They came in there, they beat Texas, and come full circle, here they are in another bowl game. I have a feeling Texas and Steve Sarkisian are going to remember that, but they also are going to respect Washington more. It's not like, well, you know what, it's Washington. They're coming from the Pacific Northwest, whatever, it's the Pac-12. Like, no, we played them last year. We lost to them in a bowl game. I understand what Penix Jr. is. He understands who the receivers are. He watched them in that first game. Where have they developed since then in the past year? Where are they at now? They're obviously an elite football team. And it also, sort of gives the players a mindset of, like, we can watch film, but most of these guys we're going to be playing in this game, you've already played last year. You already know those players and the way they run their routes if they're receivers, or how the offensive line is protecting. They just won the Joe Moore Award, by the way, which is probably a bad thing because the last 2 years Michigan won it and they lost. So maybe that's a curse. But how the offensive line is going to block, where are the players on defense, what is that moving, what's the little tell they have? You've already played them in a game. You watch the film on them now. You're doing it again this year. How have they gotten better? Where are they at? This is going to be that kind of battle on both sides because you had this bowl game a year ago. You've already done a lot of this prep work. Obviously, the last time Texas won a national championship, was Vince Young in one of probably the greatest college football games of all time. The Washington has never won an outright national title. They won a split title in the 90s. They've not won an outright title. That's a big deal. They 0-1 in their playoff appearances. They got beat by Alabama a few years back. So can the Pac-12 get a breakthrough in this situation and get themselves in a national championship game picture? It's been a while since Oregon and Ohio State faced off at the very beginning. So pressure's on Penix Jr. Had a great showing in the Pac-12 title game. Receivers were there, ran the football very effectively. But I liked how you mentioned the Texas defensive line having a bunch of dudes. Sweat is an absolute monster. I'm not going to put him on a Jalen Carter level, but he is a difference maker in the middle of the field for Texas. And he allows the linebackers to flow. He allows the pass rush to get home. And how is he going to have an impact? And how is Washington going to be able to account for him? Because Oregon's defense, Utah's defense is great. They don't have a guy like Sweat in the middle of that defense like Texas does. Texas defense is definitely, as a whole year, has been improved compared to what they've been in the past. They're 13th nationally in points allowed, average 17.5 a game. They're 23rd in total yards allowed per game with 321. They are allowing 240 passing a game, so maybe you can get them in the passing game. They're fourth in the nation in rush yards allowed. Nobody runs the ball in Texas. They only give them 80.8 yards a game. Only comparison of teams that Washington's already played. They played Utah, and they were fifth at 84.5, and Oregon at 12th at 97.5. Versus Utah, they ran for 125 and 3.8 yards a carry. And the two games versus Oregon, they ran for 99 and 157. So those two other defenses that have been sort of in that same top 15 ranking, they've run very effectively against. Can they do it versus Texas? That is going to be the big one, because throwing the ball is great. The pass rush maybe eventually gets after you. If you can run the football, you can keep that vaunted and that very talented Texas offense on the sideline, and you can dictate the pace of the football game and be a little more physical. If you cannot own the line of scrimmage, eventually that pass rush could get home to Penix Jr. Those windows get a little tighter. How that game sort of plays out. Again, back to the Michigan, Alabama breakdown. Line of scrimmage football game. Texas, Steve Sarkisian has built this team just under the protege that he learned from Alabama and learned from Nick Saban. Line of scrimmage, line of scrimmage, line of scrimmage, whether it's offensive or defensive line. How is that going to come into play in this football game? Is Sweat going to be a difference maker in the middle? Is that Texas offensive line going to give Ewers time to throw the ball? And you also mentioned Adonai Mitchell. He has 4 playoff games under his belt. He has 4 touchdowns, and 2 of them were very, very clutch touchdowns. I'm just going to mark it right now. He's catching 1 touchdown in this ballgame, keeping the streak alive. And I think Texas is different. I've said it for the entire year. On August 31st, when I made my 4 playoff picks, I put Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, and Georgia. I hit on 2 of them. Obviously, Michigan and Texas are in. And I think Texas is not the normal Texas they have been in the past. They are going to have the talent in this football game to get it done. I think they are ready for this moment. And they are going to find a way to win this football game and get a rematch with Alabama in Houston, Texas for the national title. Texas will win this ball game in New Orleans late on New Year's Day night. It's going to be an interesting game, but I think they're going to win big. I don't think Washington will be able to handle the 4 quarters. I think Texas was going to be a tight first half, and they will pull away in the second half just because of the line of scrimmage. That will start wearing on that front for the Washington Huskies, and eventually they will fade away. Texas big, and they will meet Alabama in Houston for the national championship.
Fresh, my pick, I'm having the debate as I'm sitting here, and I had some notes in here, and I keep thinking, I've changed my pick back and forth. Do I pick with my head or do I pick with my heart? Is really the question I'm asking myself. Because at the start of this year, one of the things I said is that there's part of me that, because this became the last year of the Pac-12, how great would it be to see the Pac-12 go out on top? And there's just a part of me that really would just love to see that happen. And that's where my heart comes in. Like, and that's not against Texas. There's no knock against Texas. If Washington was playing the Wolverines, if they're playing the Tide, I would be saying the exact same thing about the Washington Huskies right now. My heart wants me to go I want to pick Washington. Pick Washington just for your heart for it, just because it would just be as we've talked throughout this podcast, every time you guys listen to me, I love stories. I love a good story within a game. And I think the idea of Washington going out on top is just such a great ending to the story of the season, especially of a year like 2023, where there's not been a dominant team. There's not been that one team that's on like a march, or there's not these two teams that are just on the march to the national title game. And then there's everyone else playing college football out there. This has been a year where I can legitimately say we have parity in college football right now, which is a great thing. It's entertaining to watch. It makes weeks and weeks go by where there's so many great games out there. And that's the thing that Fresh and I have talked about from day one of this podcast. This is not a episode where we only talk about the games that the big time matchups in the South or in the Midwest or in the North. This was going to be, we were going to look at great games coast to coast. We were going to look, if there's a great matchup game in the Mountain West, we were going to talk about a great matchup game in the Mountain West. We didn't care. And I think that this is a great matchup game. This is a great story game. This is a great matchup game. Now, my heart is telling me to pick Washington in this football game. My head, my analytical brain, my reasonable brain is telling me that Texas is going to really take an opportunity in this one. Quinn Ewers is really showing why he was such a highly rated prospect coming out of high school. That 70% completion rate, almost 71%, is absolutely phenomenal. And it really does help having A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy to throw to. Sanders, the tight end, is a beast. He does not get enough credit because I think that people will look and say like, hey, he's only got 2 touchdowns. Man, did you guys watch the kid play? Like, that kid is a monster at the tight end position. He just got 2 wide receivers who are going to vulture some of those touchdowns over there. And then I think we would be remiss to not talk about, like, they have a linebacker who's one of their leading tacklers this year in Hill that is a freshman and has been absolutely dominant in really making that Texas defense. Really like him a lot too here. My head is telling me to take Texas because Texas is on paper to me the better team. If you want to know, guys, I'm gonna go say Texas I got them by a touchdown in this game. I think it's going to be a close one, but I think Texas is going to win in a shootout and win by a touchdown in it. My heart is saying Washington by a last-second field goal that puts them up like a 38-35 type of game or a 37-38 type of game where it is a 1 or 2 point victory. So I'm split in there. That's where I'm standing at because my heart would say pick Washington for giggles just because you'll love the story. So I guess that would be my pick, but I really say my head is saying Texas by a touchdown, but man, it'd just be such a fun story.
I mean, with Texas going to the SEC next year, if Texas and Alabama met for the title, people will be so mad. The fury on message boards and Twitter and TikTok and Facebook and whatever, YouTube, people will be so mad that, again, another SEC basically. At this point, you might as well put Texas in the SEC. One of those 2 teams win a national championship would